What if I told you that everything you've been taught about effort, about chasing success, about grinding your way toward results, is only half the truth? What if the universe isn't actually watching what you're doing, but instead listening to something much quieter, much deeper, and far more powerful? There's a reason some people seem to move through life with ease, while others push endlessly with little to show for it. It isn't luck, it isn't privilege, and it isn't chance. It's the frequency they're broadcasting, often without realizing it. Imagine a person who stops playing by the old rules. No hustle, no performance, no endless to-do lists. Day after day, they sit in stillness, not to achieve, not to manifest, but simply to be. From the outside, friends whisper, they're wasting time, they're falling behind, but unseen to anyone else, something extraordinary is happening. In the silence, the frantic static of need begins to dissolve. In that stillness, the body recalibrates, the mind softens, and the heart begins to broadcast a cleaner, more potent signal than any ritual could ever produce. And then, as if from nowhere, opportunities start appearing. People call out of the blue, alignments fall into place. What looked like nothing was in fact everything. Because the truth is this: the quantum field does not care about how much you do. It responds only to what you are being. Every second of your life, you are transmitting, without words, without intention, even without awareness. Your body is broadcasting a signal into the field. It's not the checklist you complete or the mantras you repeat that matter most. It's the energy beneath them. Your thoughts carry electricity. Your emotions radiate magnetism. Together they create a vibrational fingerprint that cannot be faked. That fingerprint is what the field hears. And here's the catch most people miss. If the signal you're sending contradicts the desires you hold, the field will always echo the signal, never the desire. That's why so many people burn themselves out chasing goals. They believe the field rewards effort, but it never has. It only reflects resonance. If you wake up each morning, pushing and striving, while secretly carrying the frequency of lack, the field reflects lack. If you speak affirmations about wealth while your nervous system is locked in fear of not enough, the field echoes fear. It doesn't do this to punish you, but to match you, precisely, perfectly, without distortion. You can trick your mind with words, but you cannot trick the field with frequency. That is the invisible language of reality itself, and until you learn how to speak it fluently, all the strategies in the world will leave you feeling like you're shouting into silence. This is why so many people say, "I've done everything right, but nothing's changing." They follow every step, read every book, listen to every teacher, and yet the results they expect never seem to arrive. They think maybe they missed a detail, maybe they didn't visualize long enough, maybe they didn't affirm with enough passion, so they double their effort. More journaling, more meditations, more techniques. But here's the harsh truth. The field is not fooled by effort. It is not tallying up your rituals like points in a game. It is not calculating how many hours you've practiced or how desperately you've begged for the outcome. The field mirrors only one thing: the energy you are actually carrying in your body right now. If you are visualizing abundance with a clenched jaw and a nervous system bracing for disappointment, the broadcast is not abundance, it is fear. If you are repeating the words, "I am worthy," while secretly hoping those words will erase your self-doubt, the signal is not worthiness, it is desperation. You can dress it up in positivity, but underneath, the field always listens to the root frequency, and that is the miscommunication so many people fall into. They speak in the language of action, but the field only understands the language of frequency. It reflects what you are, not what you wish for. It's like dialing a phone number and whispering into the wrong device. You might think you've connected, but no one is actually hearing you. Think of it this way. If you wanted to hear a song on the radio, you wouldn't start yelling at the speaker to play it. You wouldn't write down the song title 100 times and tape it to the radio. You wouldn't wake up early every morning hoping the static would somehow transform into music just because you wished for it hard enough. No, you'd turn the dial. You'd tune the frequency until the station came in clear. That's how simple the field is, but most people miss it. They think the universe rewards grinding, hustling, proving, when in truth it only responds to resonance. When your thoughts, emotions, and state of being are out of tune with each other, the signal is static, and static never attracts music. But when you bring them into harmony, when you stop performing and start embodying, you become a living broadcast tower. And here's where the magic happens. You don't have to chase the song anymore. It plays automatically. You don't pull opportunities with force. They align effortlessly because you are finally vibrating at the frequency of the reality you desire. That is the essence of coherence, the state where intention, emotion, and embodiment lock into one clear signal. The field doesn't need convincing at that point. It simply echoes what it hears. And when your signal is clean, it echoes it instantly, without struggle, without delay, without confusion. Here's where the paradox begins to reveal itself. The harder you try to get into alignment, the more you push alignment further away. Most people don't realize that the very act of trying is charged with resistance. Trying whispers to the field, "I'm not there yet." Wanting carries the signal of, "I don't have it." Performing radiates the energy of, "I'm still insecure." And the quantum field, precise and unflinching, doesn't hear your words or your intentions. It hears the vibration underneath. This is why so many spiritual seekers plateau. They master the rituals, they memorize the affirmations, they become experts at the practice of manifestation, but they never see the breakthrough they're chasing. It's not because they lack discipline. It's not because they aren't doing enough. It's because their effort is broadcasting the exact opposite of what they desire. The field can't be tricked by techniques, because techniques performed from a place of lack still carry the frequency of lack. You can wake up at dawn, meditate for an hour, chant your affirmations with passion, but if your nervous system is still buzzing with urgency, the broadcast is urgency, and urgency is always coded with fear. So the question becomes, if effort and performance don't move the needle, what does? The answer is identity. The field doesn't respond to your list of goals. It responds to who you are at your core. Not the mask you wear, not the persona you perform, but the subtle, often unconscious sense of self you carry everywhere you go. That identity is like a vibrational signature that imprints itself on every thought, every feeling, every decision you make. If your identity is still tied to struggle, you will unconsciously broadcast struggle even while trying to manifest ease. If your identity is wired around proving your worth, you will radiate unworthiness, no matter how many affirmations you repeat. The universe doesn't reflect the words, it reflects the code underneath the words. And that code is identity. This is why some people, without ever reading a book on manifestation, without ever practicing a single ritual, walk into a room and opportunities seem to orbit them. Their identity is already aligned with receiving. They don't force it, they don't chase it, they don't even think about it, because they are being the version of themselves who expects it naturally. Meanwhile, others can spend years studying techniques, but if their identity is still rooted in fear, rejection, or scarcity, the field has no choice but to mirror that back. It's not a punishment, it's coherence. The field is simply reflecting what's truly there, and until you shift the identity that's running beneath the surface, no amount of surface effort will change the broadcast. So how do you actually shift into a new identity if words and effort alone don't change the signal? The answer is not about stacking more rituals or faking confidence until you collapse from exhaustion. It's about rehearsing a new state of being until it stops feeling like rehearsal and starts feeling like truth. Most people think transformation has to be dramatic, a giant leap, a lightning bolt moment that suddenly erases the old self. But in reality, it's the small, subtle adjustments you make every single day that rewrite your broadcast. It begins with noticing how you breathe when you're anxious, how you walk when you feel unseen, how you speak when you believe you're unworthy. These are micro expressions of the old identity, little leaks of the signal that keep transmitting the same past. And then, instead of ignoring them or trying to suppress them, you shift them consciously. You breathe like someone who already feels safe. You walk like someone who already belongs. You pause instead of panicking. These small, embodied choices are not trivial, they're recalibrations. Each one is a statement to the field. I am no longer the old broadcast. I am becoming something new. And when you do this consistently, the field begins to hear the difference. There comes a moment in this process, quiet but unmistakable, when you stop checking if it's working. You stop looking for signs. You stop scanning for proof. You stop asking the universe to validate your progress. Instead, you simply radiate a signal of certainty. You no longer need to convince yourself because the coherence is real. Thought and emotion have finally merged, and the body stops fighting. That's the moment when the signal becomes clean. That's the moment when the static dissolves, and the frequency shines through, like a clear note vibrating in perfect pitch. This is coherence. And in coherence, you become more than just a person trying to manifest. You become a transmitter the field cannot ignore. The future no longer needs to be dragged toward you with rituals or pulled closer with desperation. It begins to magnetize naturally, effortlessly, inevitably. Opportunities find you not because you are chasing them, but because you are resonating at the frequency where they already exist. The quantum field is not selective. It doesn't play favorites. It simply reflects resonance. And when you hold coherence long enough, when you allow that certainty to stabilize inside of you, the field responds, not slowly, not someday, but instantly. Because once the signal is clean, reality has no choice but to echo it back. Life will always give you chances to test the stability of your signal. The moment you begin to radiate coherence, the field starts mirroring it back, but it also shows you the cracks in your broadcast. Maybe you've had mornings where you felt completely aligned, grounded, certain, magnetic, and then a single message, a single delay, a single comment from someone close to you pulled you right back into doubt. That's not failure, that's feedback. The field is reflecting exactly where your old identity still lives inside you. And in those moments, you face the real choice. Do you collapse back into the old frequency, or do you anchor deeper into the new one? Every time you pause instead of reacting, every time you breathe instead of bracing, every time you remember that you are the signal rather than chasing the signal, you are rewiring your frequency. These small, quiet decisions matter more than grand rituals because they are the true rehearsal of your new state of being. They teach your body that safety, abundance, and alignment don't come from external proof, but from an internal broadcast that remains steady no matter what unfolds around you. And as these moments stack, as you repeat them with consistency, they build a new energetic posture. That posture becomes power. It tells the field, without words and without effort, I am no longer available for the old timeline. I am already standing in the new one. And here is where the final truth begins to reveal itself. The quantum field has never responded to the lists you wrote, the hours you worked, or the techniques you memorized. It has only ever responded to coherence, the clarity of a frequency that does not contradict itself. When you stop needing the outcome begins needing you. This isn't surrender as weakness. It isn't giving up on your dreams or lowering your standards. It is surrender as power, a state of wholeness, so complete that the field has no choice but to reflect it back. When you reach this state, you no longer monitor the timeline. You no longer ask, when will it come? Because you understand there is no gap to close. You are already transmitting the reality you desire, and the field is already arranging itself around that broadcast. It's not about waiting for proof, because you are the proof. It's not about hoping for signs, because you have become the sign. This is where manifestation stops feeling like effort and begins to feel like inevitability. The calls arrive, the doors open, the synchronicities line up, and none of it feels forced because you didn't pull it in, you became it. The universe isn't rewarding you, it's recognizing you. It is simply mirroring back the undeniable frequency of who you are being in this moment. And once you see this, once you feel this, you realize the ultimate secret. You were never chasing anything at all. You were always tuning, and the moment you became coherent, reality tuned to you.